Well, moments ago, we got word that Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke with U.S. President Donald Trump today. Today, the Prime Minister Mark Carney had a productive and wide-ranging conversation with the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. The leaders discussed current trade challenges, opportunities, and shared priorities in a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the U.S. The leaders also discussed how to build on the President's leadership to support long-term peace and security for Ukraine and Europe. The leaders agreed to reconvene shortly. Breaking news today. Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump finally spoke on the phone. Now, some might expect this to be the moment Canada caves in after weeks of U.S. tariffs and Trump's tough talk. But here's the twist. That's not what happened at all. Instead, sources say Carney stood tall, refused to back down, and showed that Canada is not going to bow to Trump's pressure. In fact, this phone call reveals something much bigger than just tariffs. It reveals a shift in Canada's place in the world, a shift away from dependence on Washington. And today we're going to unpack every detail piece by piece so you can see exactly how Carney is reshaping Canada's strategy and why Trump's threats may not matter as much as he wants them to. Let's rewind for a moment. This trade war has been going on since Trump took office. For months, he's thrown deadlines and ultimatums at Canada. Remember the August 1st deadline? Trump said if there was no deal, tariffs would spike. And when the deadline came, sure enough, Washington slapped 35% tariffs on Canadian goods that weren't COSMA compliant. That sounds brutal, right? But here's the reality. Carney didn't panic. He didn't rush to Washington for an emergency deal. He didn't make midnight calls to beg for exemptions. Instead, he calmly told reporters, Canada would act when the time is right. And that patience has paid off. Today's call shows Canada was never scrambling. Canada was in control of the pace all along. So what actually happened on this call? According to the Canadian readout, Carney and Trump had a productive and wide-ranging conversation. They talked about trade challenges, yes, but also opportunities, a new economic and security relationship, and even global security issues like Ukraine. That phrase, new economic and security relationship, is key. It's Carney signaling that Canada is not locked into the old dependency model anymore. He's making it clear, this isn't about begging for tariff relief. This is about redefining the relationship on Canadian terms. And notice something else. Canada put out a detailed readout. The U.S. silence. No official word from Trump's team about how this call went. That might tell you something about who is controlling the narrative. Canada framed the story before Trump even had a chance to spin it. Now let's talk about the tariffs themselves, because you're probably asking, do 35% tariffs hurt? Sure, they create short-term costs, but Carney's strategy has been about making those tariffs irrelevant in the bigger picture. Canada has been diversifying trade, striking deals with Europe, expanding ties with Asia, and deepening regional partnerships. That means less reliance on Washington and more resilience when Trump tries to flex. Tariffs may have worked decades ago when Canada was heavily dependent on U.S. exports, but today they're just noise. And here's the genius of Carney's approach. By refusing to panic, he sends a message to Canadians and the world that these tariffs don't define us anymore. Trump wanted fear. Carney gave him calm. Look at the contrast. Trump has been loud, angry, threatening deadlines, throwing around numbers. Carney has been patient, disciplined, and deliberate. A few weeks ago, Trump even hinted in the Oval Office that he called clearly referencing Carney, but nothing happened. Why? Because Carney ... This was today's important update. We want to make it absolutely clear that our videos never include any kind of misinformation. Canadian Nexus is dedicated to bringing you verified and trustworthy news from across Canada, from politics to society and everything in between. If you value truth and facts, you're in the right place. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the Canadian Nexus channel. Thank you.